truth, logic, common sense, that gut feeling, and yes, even a little psychoanalysis, as we are once again together, you and I, to discuss Chad and Lori Daybell. And folks, that is my focus, is the Chad and Lori Daybell case. I want to see justice through understanding. I want to do everything that I can to get the whole environmental view. And as many of you know, the 2 years that we've had this channel together, I have always been willing to look at other unrelated cases to apply application. So when Cresha K from Difficult Research had mentioned the Micheal Joseph Vaughn little monkey, Micheal Vaughn there, the other day on her last live stream, it kind of stuck with me because of the things that she had said in all of that. I had no idea who this was. And I got up this morning. I'm just going to tell y'all like it is. I got up this morning. I wasn't thinking nothing about it. I got on YouTube, started scrolling down through there, and I saw where this woman had been arrested in this case. And I thought, oh, yeah, Cresha. Cresha had mentioned this. Well, I went further and I listened to the arraignment and everything. Then I went on to East Idaho News and I read all about it because I didn't know. And then I went back to the arraignment video on YouTube and I left a comment. And we'll get to that and you'll understand why I decided to do case application with the Chad and Lori Daybell case and the Micheal Monkey Vaughn case, okay? It's obvious that this little boy's 5 years old. He's from Idaho. If our worst fears are acknowledged and he is dead and buried, this echoes in a lot of ways, if you know what I mean. But anyway, I said, well, I'll go on the community wall and I'll ask everyone about it and see if they want me to do a pre-record about it. And I think it was Kavita Diva that said, well, I'm for it. But you know what, KJ, I'm concerned about you, having to go through all this. This takes a lot of time and effort on the research and all of that. And I explained to Kavita Diva, I was like, well, if I did talk about this case, it would be for application purposes for the Chad and Lori Daybell case, that I would give some background on it. And then I would go into what I try to do to elicit comments from all of y'all. Because you see, folks, I can't think of everything. And I want to get that whole view. And so I rely on you in your comments. So the efforts that I give, the demonstration of trying to get justice through understanding, it cannot work without your help. So anyway, I went online. I started reading everything I could. And I said, well, I've got to give a good background, but I also have to give citation because somebody else has done the work. Well, there was a news article, and it was from Where Are They podcast. And this was something that was cited for them and the work that they'd done. And I also got some information from law enforcement sources as well. And I put it together. And you'll see where I'm going with this if you'll hang tough with me. Because really, ultimately, nobody wants to see anybody, especially a child, get murdered. We're in this Chad and Lori case, and it's so sad. And every time we hear of other children, whether it's Quentin Simmons, whether it's Summer Wells, whether it's any of these children all over the place, it touches us and it hurts us. And so we'll get to maybe, just maybe, an example of how KJ's mind works when it comes to case application, all right? But again, I cite the Where Are They podcast and law enforcement sources in what I will read to you right now. Micheal Joseph Vaughn was an energetic, playful 5-year-old boy growing up in Fruitland, Idaho. He was so energetic and playful. In fact, he earned himself the nickname Monkey. Michael loved cars, especially race cars, and his mom, Brandy, described her son as all boy. On the evening of July 27th of 2021, Michael walked out of his house, hoping to find a friend to play with outside. He went to a few neighbors' homes to see if their children could come out and play, but found no one. Meanwhile, back in the home, Brandy was ordering dinner for their family. She was unaware that Michael had slipped out the door. Little Michael Vaughn Monkey has not been seen since. Where is Michael Joseph Vaughn? This case takes us to the state of Idaho. Fruitland is part of Payette County and is located about an hour from Boise. It lies along U.S. Route 95 in the Treasure Valley of southwest Idaho, sitting on the border with Oregon. Fruitland itself is a small town. It's typically a safe town with a population of around 5,000. In general, it's known as an agricultural area, and there are lots of parks and rural areas very close by, including the Snake River, the Payette National Forest, and the Boise National Forest. The area where Michael lived with his family was a quiet neighborhood, mostly ranch-style houses with smaller lots, and a pretty open area. Not many trees or obstructions, although many of the houses do have privacy fences. On the evening of July 27th of 21, the heat of summer in Fruitland, Idaho, Brandy Neal and her husband were discussing what to order for dinner. Around 6:30, unbeknownst to them, 5-year-old Michael slipped out of the garage door. Brandy didn't hear him leave, and since their front door makes a lot of noise and would be more difficult for Michael to slip out there, she knew he must have gone out the garage door. Michael went to a neighbor's house, knocking on their door to see if one of his friends could come out and play. When they weren't able to, Michael went to another neighbor's house when he struck out again there. He went to a third neighbor's house where once again he was told his friend couldn't come out and play. Meanwhile, back at home, Brandy and her husband finally realized Michael was missing. They start looking for him all over their house, their yard, and finally the neighborhood. When they failed to turn up any sign of Michael anywhere, they called the Fruitland Police Department. Authorities responded right away, but unfortunately were unable to put out an Amber Alert. The state of Idaho, as most states do in this circumstance, requires evidence of abduction to put out a formal Amber Alert. They would put out a missing and endangered alert at 8:30 p.m., nearly 2 hours after Michael walked out of the home. Searchers came out in droves, and eventually over a dozen agencies would become involved, including the Fruitland Police Department, the FBI, the state police, and other nearby departments. The Idaho Mountain Search and Rescue Team comes out with their trained canines to search. Investigators also used drones to search what would end up being over 4,000 acres. The Snake River area was searched, and also nearby canals. Since nothing at all was found in the way of clues or evidence, police began to believe in the likelihood of abduction. This little blonde-haired, blue-eyed boy in his Minecraft t-shirt, boxer shorts, and flip-flops had vanished. Brandy insisted that no one she knew could be responsible, and during this time, Brandy and her family were hysterical and desperate to find little Michael. And police have stated that while nothing has been completely ruled out, the family has been extremely engaged and cooperative from the very beginning. Searches continue for Michael, and the investigators start fielding hundreds of tips. The chief of police, J.D. Huff, said an investigator has been assigned to each and every lead that has come in. Most have turned up absolutely nothing, and the others are just inconclusive. Police were reviewing surveillance footage from homes near Michael's home that had any type of security cameras, Ring doorbells, or anything like that they could review. While mostly everything appeared normal on the street around the 6:30 p.m. time frame, they did notice a few things. At 6:47, a Honda Pilot drove down the street, Further investigation showed that no one on the street has a Honda Pilot or could identify who it belonged to. Remember, Southwest 9th does not cross with another street, but other than that, it is a short road. They want to talk to this person not because they believe they are a suspect, but maybe a possible witness to something. To date, they have not been able to identify who the car belonged to. Investigators also spotted a Dodge Avenger driving by during the same time frame that they haven't been able to locate either. Police have put the information out over and over again. They just want to talk to these people to see if they might have witnessed something without even knowing it. So in addition to the 2 unidentified cars on the videos, they also spotted 2 different people walking at different times, meaning they weren't together, or at least didn't appear to be. One of these was clearly a man, and he was walking to a drainage area behind some of the nearby homes. He hasn't been identified either, and the police really want to speak with him as well. And so that is the background. That was the initial reporting. That was everything that was put out there about this little 5-year-old boy in Idaho, little monkey. A year later, okay, because this happened in July of 2021. So this year, July of 2022, the city of Fruitland Police released a news update and said it has been 1 year since Michael Joseph Vaughn went missing. Since the evening of July 27th of 2021, the Fruitland Police Department, the Idaho State Police, and the FBI have investigated the disappearance of 6-year-old Michael Joseph Vaughn when he vanished from his neighborhood. While developing a detailed timeline of events leading up to Michael's disappearance, investigators have processed over 1,000 leads. Nearly all leads has been thoroughly reviewed and cleared as detectives evaluate each tip. The process is exhaustive and time-intensive, but investigators believe someone will provide information to solve the case. Investigators continue an effort to identify a man seen walking through the splash pad area of Crestview Park leading up to the time of Michael's disappearance. The man is described as a white male adult, late 20s or 30s. He was seen wearing black shorts, a white t-shirt with cut-off sleeves, dark-colored shoes, and a hat. It is important to note that he is not a suspect or a person of interest, but police need to speak with him to determine his whereabouts and if he witnessed anything that would be helpful to the investigation. Detectives work daily to sift through viable leads and piece together the known information so we can solve this case, says Fruitland Police Chief J.D. Huff. As members of this community, we agonize with the family and have dedicated our resources to bringing Michael home. We continue to work with our investigative partners, release relevant information, and believe broader distribution of this story will generate more attention and tips that can be investigated. Anyone with any information, please let us know. No tidbit of information is benign or too obscure as we process the overall picture. Fruitland Police appreciate the efforts of our community members and media partners who keep this case at the forefront by promoting and sharing this story. We encourage sharing the official poster from the Idaho Missing Persons Clearinghouse. We hope that someone can have the courage and strength to bring forth the information that could help us find Michael. This is a continuing nightmare that no family should ever have to go through. We want Michael home with us and appreciate the community's support and tips. We know even the smallest piece of information can bring Michael home. And that was July of this year, the 1 year anniversary. So when I got up this morning and knowing what Krish had said on difficult research, and I was scrolling through there, not even really thinking of it, I saw that. I saw a woman had been arrested, and I thought, wow. You know, Krish was just talking about this the other day. So I got on there and I listened to this arraignment hearing, and I'll go over that here in a minute, but I posted a comment after watching it. I looked at this woman sitting there The judge was reading all this stuff out. They gave her, I think it was a $500,000 bond if she wanted to get out and all this and that. And I posted a comment that I said, and this was my first impression. I said, this woman's body language seems guilty. She had better just let law enforcement know what happened. And when I did that, I commented, and then I went over to East Idaho News, and I saw their news article on it, and I went back over again, and someone had commented on it. And I'm trying to give y'all a bird's eye view of how my mind works. This person named SMS said to my comment about this woman looking guilty, said, "Really? Looks like she was up all night crying to me. Looks like she's cold, tired, and stressed. I'm not sure what looks guilty, but I suggest that requires more proof than a look." And I thought, So I commented back and I said, I get your point, but body language and the fact that what is communicated is 85% nonverbal, first impressions say something to me. And this person commented back to that and said, yeah, that's how it's done in America. It's easy to be convicted based off a look, but hey, you be satisfied with that, and I'll wait for more proof of involvement. I'm not that easy to convince. And so then I went on and I said, well, and it reminded me that I just read that article from East Idaho News. And I said, well, you might not be from America, but you should understand what keeping your mouth shut, you have the right to remain silent. And I posted the link of the East Idaho News article. So here we go. Now bear with me. Sarah Wandra was arraigned Monday afternoon, and this was just yesterday. She told Judge Brian Lee she understood the allegations made against her, but maintained that they're not correct. When Judge Lee informed her of her rights, Wandra said, I don't have any reason to be silent because I didn't do anything wrong. Wandra was charged with felony failure to report a death rather than a misdemeanor charge, which says a lot to me, okay? The felony charge is triggered when a person's failure to report is based on what? Their intent to conceal the manner of the death, according to Idaho law. It carries a possible prison sentence of up to 10 years and a fine of up to $50,000. In an emailed statement, a spokesperson for Michael's family told the Idaho Statesman that the family is asking for privacy and support. They are dealing with very difficult news that's ongoing and unfolding, Lena Westbrook said. Westbrook also noted that officials have instructed the public to avoid the investigation area and the family's home. Judge Lee set Sarah Wandra's bond at $500,000. If she bonds out of jail, she will be required to wear a GPS monitoring device. According to court documents, police forced entry into Wandra's home around 9:30 p.m. Friday, where they found Sandra Wandra in the living room, and she was detained and read a copy of the search warrant. And again, this goes back to keeping your mouth shut. You have a right to remain silent. And she says, and a Fruitland police officer wrote in the probable cause affidavit, which ultimately that affidavit has been sealed by the judge right now because of investigative reasons and for safety purposes. But the Fruitland police officer wrote in the affidavit, when I got to the portion that read murder, this Sandra Wandra said, did you just say murder? Multiple times. She also said, I have never murdered anyone. Officials said Sandra Wandra maintained that she definitely did not kill that boy and said, the Most High God already told me who did it. Now, can y'all imagine that? Is there anything in there? The Most High God's telling her who murdered this little 5-year-old little boy, she reportedly told police, "Oh, wow, the Most High God just told me that Stacy was the one who killed him and buried him in the yard of the neighbor's house." And Stacy is her husband, y'all. When asked later to show police where the boy was buried, according to the affidavit, she told police a spot near the entry of her residence and said Stacy had buried him in the backyard by the shed.